Lab 1 will focus on the scientific method. I'm going to briefly go over what you need to do to successfully complete Lab 1. First, we have the study guide questions, which are going to be useful for studying for the lesson quiz. Next, we have the list of required photos. This is also going to be embedded within the lab exercise. Remember, you need to purchase a lab kit from the ICC bookstore as soon as possible. It is required for this lab for inventory purposes. So we have an introduction of how the lab works and how the course works as far as the lab component. So you should read all this information. And as we keep scrolling, it will give you information on how to successfully submit the lab photos, which are required for this lab course. Again, as we scroll down, I'm going to get to what you're going to actually do. So as soon as you see what I call a yellow box, which there is one, it's going to provide the photo number and the information required. This one says photo 1 includes your name and the date, the answers to lab policy questions 1 through 9, and to receive full credit, you must have your answers be legible, correct, or you can type them. So you have lots of options. You can digitally write in your answers. You can physically write in your answers with a pen or pencil and take a photograph. You can type in your answers as long as I can clearly see them. So you're going to put your answers, just like I've done in the first example, in the column that says answer. And then you are going to submit this as photo 1. Then we have our inventory. So again, I'm just hitting the highlights. You're going to read all this information. If anything is missing from the lab kit when you do inventory, or it's broken or you don't have enough, then there's going to be a link on my Canvas site that you can click on as soon as possible and fill in all the required components so that I can get you your lab kit items that are either broken or missing. So this is that inventory list. And what you're going to notice about this photo, it says a selfie. And this one, it may take more than one photo for me to be able to see everything. It's totally up to you. So what I have to see in one or multiple photos is your face with this list and the opened lab kit. So I need to see that you've actually purchased a lab kit. And remember, in order to get full credit, you have to have, if it requires a selfie, without that selfie, it's 0 points for that particular photo. So if it says selfie, I have to have the selfie for it to count. All right, then we're going to scroll through. Then we're going to have some lab safety. You're going to watch the video. These video links are also on Canvas. And what you're going to notice is you're going to fill in true or false for each of these. You're going to study them before you take the lesson quiz. But this particular page, you're not submitting for a photo. You're only submitting the photos of the ones that have the yellow box. So I don't need to see every single page. So for example, this lab is 20 pages. I don't want 20 photos of 20 pages, just the ones that I'm requesting. So photo 3 is going to be of our safety contract. So you're going to initial 1 through 10. So put your initials next to each item, such as responsible conduct is required in performing the laboratory activities. So initial that, sign it. Print your name. If you know your student ID, great. If you don't stress about that. And the date. This is photo 3. This one does not say a selfie, so therefore a selfie is not required. Now we get into the scientific method. So again, read all this information. And again, obviously I'm just scrolling through. And you're going to answer questions 23 through 31 based on the previous reading. You're going to click on the video link for question 32 through 40. And this is photo 4. So we've got some more things. Again, not photos. You still need to do them. You may see questions on them on the quiz, but I'm not requiring them for the photo. So we're going to keep scrolling, get everything done. And at the very end of each one, you're going to see a checklist. So all 4 photos should be submitted on Canvas. There's also a virtual lab that is not the same as the photo. So labs have 2 components. The lab activity with the photos, and then often a virtual lab. Occasionally it's a Nearpod instead, but it's usually a virtual lab. And then at the end, once you've studied lecture and lab, then you're going to submit your lesson quiz. For the next lab, I give you a little reminder, a little note that you will need a total of 3 food items, 1 from each category. So 1 from the avocado, carrot, celery category, 1 from the banana, cherry, beet category, and 1 from the lemon, lime category. So whatever you have on hand, if you don't have any of these in any of the categories, then you'll need to purchase them. And that's how you successfully complete Lab 1.